Good afternoon. It's high noon in Jamaica. Today is the 13th of September 2023. On the bridge, this remarkable experiment in communications which links Jamaicans and Jamaican lovers all over the world with the rock of their origin, and in many respects, not to blaspheme, but the rock of their salvation. This is where you find your culture. This is where you understand your roots. This is where you can dream of a future to which you are entitled, to which you can labor, for which you can labor. That's what Jamaica means to so many of us. An enchanting place, full of contradictions, full of opportunity, and its share of desperation. But that's what we chronicle, that's what we celebrate, that's what we seek to improve by dialogue. Dialogue which leads to persuasion, persuasion which should infect policy, and policy which should mean a better community for us all. The Bridge, 99 FM. Call us if you will. The WhatsApp line is 876-551-5782 and the studio line is 876-676-4996. The Honorable Colonel Charles O.J. is the co-host, and we would welcome the inputs of any person who wishes to share in our dialogue. Courtesy and an open mind is what the public eye defends. Thanks so much for being with us. You can download the mobile app from the Android Play Store and the Apple Store. It's The Bridge, 99 FM. Coming up today in our discourse for the next 2 hours, Imani Duncan-Price, scion of a long line of politically involved people, joins us. She wrote a piece in the Sunday Gleaner 2 weeks ago about proportional representation in our political affairs, rather than first past the post that we have inherited so from with the Westminster model of English politics. Let's talk about that. Is it more equitable? Does it lead to gridlock? Can it in fact reduce some of the tribalism which both Pernell and I feel so troubles the line of progress among our people? Imani Duncan-Price in about 20 minutes from now. And later on, after the 1 o'clock break, Hugh Small, retired judge and eminent attorney at law and defender of human rights, has some thoughts on the repatriation of Haitian migrants last week, from who landed in Jamaica and who in the dead of night were sent back to the place of distress, of persecution that they came from, the neighboring island of Haiti. Hugh Small is a member of the Constitutional Reform Committee as well, and we may, if the opportunity arises, take a moment to ask him how far they have got, what are they talking about, because we really don't hear about it in any other forum. So, that plus your input is the agenda for the public eye today. Stay tuned with us. So, Mr. Charles?
Yes, sir.
I'm welcoming you and anxious to get your views on a matter that is pulling on your trade union character. The United Nations official who is tracking the instances of what they call modern-day slavery has adjudged that the treatment of many of our Jamaican workers in Canada, farm workers, a program that you have been intimately involved with as minister, that the conditions approximate modern-day slavery, modern-day servitude. Is that possible after all of the efforts that were made to send a team there headed by Helene Davis-White of the Federation of Trade Unions? Previously, I think Carl Samuda, when he was Minister of Labor, went there. Your own son is a Minister of Labor now. What many people depend upon farm working to step up in life. But if the conditions are as these United Nations people are not slight people, they're responsible. I wonder what you think of this assessment.
Well, Ronnie, let me tell you the truth. I disagree. And I disagree and I disagree.
Really? Whoa, that's strong.
Disagree out of facts that I know.
Yeah.
I know, I wouldn't say hundreds, of teachers, doctors, and attorneys who have become what they are because their parents, their father, was permitted to travel to either the United States or Britain or Canada and take care of them. I know hundreds of families who have a house today who would not have had a house if their husband, who is a carpenter,
went and pick apple.
Went and pick apple in the hardship, in the cold, cover him knee. I know.
You as a rural MP
Yes.
would have seen much more of that than I as an urban MP.
Well, I tell you better than that. I have seen farm worker come back with a grip. You know what is grip?
Yeah, man.
Full of goodies
Dulcimina.
for the communities.
Yeah.
Dungaree, panties, brassiers.
You hear that now?
For
Yes.
all
Everybody in the
around
community.
him. And when him land, everybody go in the yard because Mr. Brown come and we know him care something. Now, am I saying that there's no hardship? No. There is hardship. Because we don't use to snow, we don't use to ice, and you have to cover up your ears, and you have to do all kind of things, and you have to enter the tree and the grass for produce, because if you don't produce, you can't stay.
Yeah, but that's not what the United Nations is saying, that they are paid less than minimum wage, that they are not compensated for overtime, that they are restrained from moving out of, I suppose, the barracks, and that many of them are subject to physical and even sexual abuse, and that they are denied health and other social benefits. Those are very stern charges, Purnell.
Well, but Ronnie, I could take up that paragraph and put it right in Jamaica.
Maybe so, but still it would...
No, hold on. I could take up that paragraph and put it in many areas of Jamaica.
All right.
Okay?
But that would justify it.
What I cannot do is take up the paragraph of their improvement and put it everywhere and anywhere.
So
hold on. We recognize that there are problems. We know that. So we set up a committee of leaders in Canada and in America to visit the farm, have discussion with the farmers, have discussion with the workers.
Yeah, but they speak about that too, sir. What they say is that the liaison officers go to the farm, but they tell the farmer before, say them come in. And therefore, it's the same worker them have to clean up the place and look pretty and clean up. When the liaison officer come, that's not right.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Every farm worker has access to the liaison officer. So you don't have to talk to him before the boss. You don't have to talk to him while you are in that meeting.
Suppose we're afraid that if you tell the liaison officer,
if you're afraid
if you're going to tell the boss and maybe I have to go home.
Hold on now. If you're afraid, you know you have to come home. Because you have to fight to stay there. Ronnie, we are interviewing some 10,000 Jamaicans to get 3,000 to go away.
That I know.
That who can read, who can talk right, who have the right attitude, who I have trained. Because I say, you're going to Canada, these are the things you're going to meet up. You're going to meet up a white man, and him not bend down talk to you, not talk to you like boy, but your idea for pick up and get money. When you go home in the evening, I'll let you out because it's his responsibility if man lick it on a road. When you pick them ball in a yard, you can't run go home. You have to discuss it with him. And when the wife call the boss and say, send no money, don't vex. So me set up a social organization in Jamaica for the wife to call here instead of call there.
I did not know that.
Yes, a social organization which visit the farmer's yard. See that the children are going to school, see that the house is being worked on, and call the farmers and report
and tell them it's okay.
Of course.
So tell me now, why the United Nations to lie?
No, hold on, Ronnie. I don't know who the United Nations speak to. I don't know.
Them say them go, it's hundreds of people them talk to. They go to various farms and thing and people.
Hold on. We send a team there. Which team would you prefer? The United Nations or the Jamaican team?
But I don't want to choose.
Eh?
I don't want to choose.
No, but I want to choose.
Why?
Because I don't know who named the United Nations. Probably the United Nations is right based on what basis, what standard they would like to see.
Yes.
No,
so now we want that too?
No, yeah, but we know from where they are coming, so that they don't reach up there yet.
I understand what you're saying.
Much further than where we are.
Yeah, so I'm understanding that. But let me ask you now, behind all of that, yes, is it true that Jamaica is going to have to raise itself from this perpetual notion that we are cheap labor and that people can take liberty with we?
Ronnie, if it was so cheap, why did you tell me how much they are contributing to the foreign exchange? Why did you tell me that if they are so cheap?
No, but still, you are saying that they may well, using foreign standards, which is where they're working, they may well...
may well be lower.
Right.
As Jamaican, with regards to Jamaica and Canada.
So, big man, you don't feel that we need to reach a point where we can, just like the others, we don't have to be the children of Ham forever?
Oh, listen, I feel...
It's the same thing with the BPO, you know, I'm glad for it.
I feel a long time, but guess what? No feeling.
Yeah.
It's reality.
Yeah.
You understand me?
I
promise to carry it to you. I wanted 300 steel workers for Canada.
Yeah.
And I sent out on Thursday. Yeah. And 1,450 arrived. Walk off of them work when them getting in Jamaica because they're doing better in Canada.
I see.
And so to tell you, nobody is not here, and I'm here you one.
Confidential.
2/3 of the people who are there and farm workers are carpenters and laborers and are tradesmen in Jamaica.
I see.
Me telling you that.
And they can get more below minimum wage up there, as the UN say. But then they can make as skilled tradesmen in Jamaica.
Of course.
Something wrong.
No. Not necessarily. We are still in Jamaica.
That right.
We are still in Jamaica doing better than many countries around us.
No, that maybe
true. Come on, give me a little light now. Not take away a light, man. No, the point, Ronnie, is it isn't that maximum acceptability.
Okay.
It is not even 3/4 of what me and you would like to see.
All right.
But it is as maximum for some who come off of the construction as grade 1 and up there picking up because they make money.
Yes.
They fix up them house.
And the foreign money change out good.
And not only that, I wanted to bring to Draxall all the lawyers, the teachers, the doctors, the professionals, whose parents send them to school as farm worker. Master, we couldn't find space.
I tell you.
When they come and say, Mr. Charles, no, I was eating in a restaurant in Morant Bay. And a man came and saw me and started to cry. You know, this big old man come and back and said, what's the problem? He said, you cause this, sir. What me do? He said, so you're saying me where I never ever get a chance to come back and say thanks. Say, but you're crying over that. I said, thanks. So he said, why? He said, because I'm a 3 picnic, finish school, and my wife fix up the house, and I come home now, we're all the way happy. Ronnie, the point is this, that it might not have been at the level where it's not at the level where we all would love. It's not at the level where the Canadians and the Americans are.
Well, they walk off the job. They don't want that work.
No, but that's why we get it.
I see. So
the whole one, don't forget what you say.
All right.
The Canadian government has a standard given to the farm worker, the Canadian farmers, at which they cannot treat any Jamaican lower than that. If they do that, the Canadian and the American government takes action.
Well, the best I think we can say is that we would like to interrogate what the UN people say, because they are reputable on the surface. And secondly, we want to keep a constant eye on it. We don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face. That don't make sense. And the deeper question that I wanted for you to put to you is that whether it is farm workers or nurses or teachers, Yes, the tradition of Jamaica's history from Panama Canal is that we go abroad to make our fortune.
Mm-hmm.
Now, should we intentionally train our people so that in fact we understand and prepare them to fall into the best possible category when they go abroad?
Oh, hold on. You didn't know that I have a daughter who's a psychiatrist?
Yes.
And I invited her to speak to the farm workers who have passed the test to go to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Patrice gathered them. She said she studied first what is the attitude of the Canadian farmer,
Mm-hmm.
what is the attitude of the community in which they're going to work, what is the attitude from where they are coming. The man selling goats are sensitive and come a town. You think it's town hard for him, but it's Canada.
Yeah.
So you have to get him to address his mind.
Yeah.
So some of the girls them get dressed at evening time and walk out and show off themselves. And on the road, the farmer said, not at that. Not from my farm, because you know what that's selling.
Sure.
Right? So it is not as easy. What you and I cannot stop. And if you think like blow eagle, glue, what you call
Boogle.
it? A boogle on the corner and say
Trumpet. Trumpet man.
A trumpet and say, farm worker. Man run out of office.
That's true.
Man run off of
I see that.
right?
I see
Because
that.
guess what? They get a money.
Mm-hmm.
And when them change it, it can build the house, send the picnic to school, and do better.
No.
So I don't want you to get the impression that I am defending.
This is a good discussion, because what you're saying is that I'm not to feel that we must take anything and everything they give us, but we must.
I'm not to feel that I think that it is glory.
All right,
and not
but we
hardship.
mustn't have a problem for every solution. And one of the solutions to weak salaries and unemployment in Jamaica is when people can go abroad, and it's true.
Ronnie, I told you this already, you know. I hear the Prime Minister saying I have to bring in some foreigners. You know why? Because our skilled workers gone on farm work.
I like that though.
But Ronnie, the man come off of the steel thing. Because guess what?
So why Jamaica? But Jamaica not always to be second best for our own
we're
people,
not second best.
But of course.
No, but we're better than many.
Yeah, but it shamed me.
We're not as good as some.
Hello, sir. It shamed me to see when nurses, when you go in the hospital and clinic, and love them, but is a Nigerian or a Cuban or an Indian have to deal with me. And we have people who bright and good and can do them things.
I'm glad you bring that in. Why you think the Nigerian is here? Why you think the Cuban is here?
Because things are better.
Exactly.
Yes.
Same like how we go Canada and go America. Them come here because we are better than them.
Yeah, but
where they are.
But I would like us to be able to have the spirit and to have the devolution of resources so that we can satisfy our own needs and satisfy the needs of others where we go. So I'm in favor, of external labor, but I want to make sure that it's not a mix-up system where people go because, as the president of the Teachers Association is saying, because they're bound to do better there than here.
But Ronnie, they're bound to do better if they just want more money and a better house.
Yeah.
They're bound to do better.
Yeah.
But there are other things that they're not as happy with.
Yeah.
They're not as happy with the sunshine. Yeah. They're not as happy with the neighbor. They're not as happy with the picnic them.
Well.
They're not as happy with the plane. So the American teacher who came out here and said, you're jumping out of fire and jumping a frying pan.
Yeah. Well,
you know what it means? It had same way.
It had same way. But because the money better.
Of course the money better. And they can do better. Every teacher who leave here, if they collect their money and send it back to Jamaica, they can do better with their family. But guess what? Teacher Williams would never leave me. Go and make more money.
No.
Because Teacher Williams said, if you can't take it, may I whoop your head and put it in. The dedication of certain teachers, don't care what they're paying in America, those teachers will never leave Jamaica.
Got you, and we love that spirit. Good discussion on migrant labor. We take a break on the bridge, and when we come back, we're going to connect with Imani Duncan-Price to talk about proportional representation. Thanks for being with us on the Public Eye. This is the Bridge 99 FM, reaching out to the Jamaican diaspora. Those who born here, those who love when they come to Jamaica, those who just hear about us and understand what a Irish people we are. Pernell Charles and myself are the hosts. And we welcome Imani Duncan-Price. Imani, hi.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm sure that you're fully acquainted with the Honourable Pernell Charles.
Of course. How are you doing, sir?
Well, I am not so happy that you didn't call me first. But anyhow, we're on the same seat.
Listen to me. You have to be careful of these middle-aged sweet boys, you know, Iman.
I tell you, and I'm surrounded by them.
It's just jealousy, and I have no apology.
Imani Duncan-Price, you come from a political family. You have been a political candidate, and you wrote a piece in the press recently, encouraging the Jamaican people in the throes of constitutional reform to consider a governance system of proportional representation rather than this frenetic first past the post that we adopted so thoughtlessly, may I say, from the British when we became independent. Tell us what you mean and tell us why.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to explain. I know change is not always easy, but change often comes when people feel there's a crisis or something wrong. I put forward the alternative approach of proportional representation for our electoral system for a few reasons. There has been a dropping number of people in Jamaica engaged in a process. You're voting on Pernell seat. The voting numbers are lower. 38% of the voting population came out in the last election and determined the government for 100% of the people. And it's been dropping over the last few elections. Apathy is a problem. The issue as well is that people come out, for those who do come out to vote, about half of them end up not having any voice in Parliament. Because in the first past the post system, which is what we have in Jamaica, basically anybody who wins a majority in a constituency wins, but the other persons who vote for the other person don't have any representation per se, because their vote kind of quote unquote goes to waste. In proportional representation, every vote counts. Even if let's say you vote for the Jamaica Labour Party, even if the JLP doesn't win the overall election, your vote is still counted towards the number of seats that they will get in Parliament. If you vote for the PNP and they don't win the overall election in terms of get the majority vote in a country, your vote still counts in determining how many seats the PNP will get in Parliament. The system is one where you don't have to ignore those that lose. You actually give a voice, so your vote matters. And I put it forward because what we find from different studies is that first past the post globally tend to have lower turnout. And that doesn't work for democracy. You need people to feel like their vote is worth something. They typically find that at least in proportional representation, 8% higher turnout. You could do with that. 8% higher globally tends to come out more in proportional representation. I know there are many reasons why people are not engaged in our politics, but if we can actually fix something that counts every voice, that doesn't lock us into a tribalism between JLP versus PNP, that allows for other parties to come up, allows for issues to be debated and come to the fore, it would help us, in my mind, to mature as a democracy.
One of the reasons, Imani, why people don't participate is because of they're disgusted and fed up with tribalism.
Yeah, man.
It's one of the reasons why Pernell and I do this together, coming from very different political backgrounds.
I think it's very commendable that you both do it together. It's important.
But how would a system of proportional representation reduce tribalism?
Yes. Okay, so actually my article I wrote 2 weeks ago is actually part of a series. The first article is called Cut the Umbilical Cord, which means I put forward in this process of reform for a constitution, you actually need to not have the prime minister come from the parliament. The prime minister or president, the head of our state executive, head of cabinet, I put forward, should not come from the parliament, because it purports a system where everybody's trying to become a minister or become prime minister. So you kind of get this loop and a connection that makes MPs silent and beholden to a system that keeps them looking to the leader, not looking to serve people's interests, even if the interest goes against what the party is saying. Ronnie and Parnell, you have been there. You know what happens typically in the parliament. People are looking to try to become a minister. If you are trying to become a minister, you're not criticizing the executive, when the job of the parliament is to hold the executive accountable. And as for your readers or your listeners, understanding the executive is the cabinet. Yes. It's the ministers in the country.
So what
this does, first is to cut the umbilical cord, meaning that the prime minister doesn't come from the parliament. Then now, with proportional representation, you still have parties, you still have JLP, PNP and any other party, but you actually have a list of people who will be the candidates in that party that you're putting forward as your team to the country. Now, people in Jamaica just vote for the party, knowing what their list of candidates, the top 63 candidates are. You vote for your preferred party based on what they say their platform issues are. What happens typically now, because you know your vote will count, is not just between PNP or JLP. You could have third parties having a voice and a seat in Parliament.
Okay.
The person begin to see
according to the proportion, to the proportion of votes that they got,
that they received nationally. Exactly. So the NDM,
yes,
in 1997, I think it was, would have gotten 2 seats.
Yes.
So when you begin to have
which would have added a lot of flavour to the parliament,
to the parliamentary debate, to the questions asked, to how you push, and if people see that we're not locked into this either-or system, you actually want to participate. Can you see it matters?
You go, Pernell, first.
May I just tell you,
yes, sir,
to be comforted, because Rani and I have been together years ago and sit at the feet of many of you, like you, who think the same way you do at the same presentation you make. I don't think we need to go and talk about the new beginning that we wanted.
Oh, yes.
Because we said that what is going on just don't work. Now, quickly, let me get to the point. I believe that unless there is compulsory voting in Jamaica, you will never get people who don't like the PNP or the JLP to come to vote. So therefore,
suppose they had a reasonable alternative.
Hold on, that's what they're saying. To get that, you have to have alternatives, and probably not one, not two, not three. And so if we had a number of viable, because we have had people who don't get 200 and 300 votes, you know. But if we had a viable system where a number of parties.
Yeah, but you can only do that with proportional representation.
Exactly, but I'm not opposed.
I know your position.
Yeah.
Imani, what a good thing it is to speak to a younger person. But one of the reasons why the New Beginning movement in the 90s didn't continue was because we realized the impossibility of effecting change outside of the political system, and equally we understood that many of us understood the impossibility of entering meaningfully into the political system outside with a third party.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the truth. Now, certainly for me, although I was disposed to the PNP always, that propelled me into membership in 1996 into the PNP, because there was no, you were barking on the outside rather than any hope of ever being able to have a seat where it mattered.
Stella, you're reading a script from me and you.
All right. So.
but the thing is, no.
Because all of us
had that.
Yeah.
Many of us recognize.
Because you understood the system. You saw what was happening. You understood the dynamics.
Exactly,
and you knew only how it could break. My only thing of hope, because people say to me all the time, Imani, wasn't your father passing in the beginning? Didn't you see the same issues? Yes. But the difference now is that we're at 38%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to
a difference, and it's going to get worse, because if you talk to Jamaicans on the road, Ronnie and Parnell, they are just, turned off of the political parties.
No, hold on a minute.
For various reasons, and I'm not negating the efforts of people in the parties. Don't get me wrong,
I don't know if
but there's something systemically wrong, and we have to address it.
I don't know if we're totally turned off. There is a class in Jamaica who said the two of them are the same thing, so anyone come all right.
It's not a class. It's not one class. That's different, I think, as well.
Don't make me tell you, it's a big bunch. Them not coming out to stand up and son vote. They're not going on a political meeting.
Yeah, but you can't.
They don't want nobody identify them as
Parnell,
PNP or JP.
the numbers alone tell you. Parnell, the numbers alone tell you. These people came up before for either party. They did. They came out and voted.
Yeah.
So they have been interested in Jamaica. They have demonstrated, standing up in the sun, and have voted. And when you look at the actual polling results and you look at what people say about the country, there is a problem. And we also need to electrify and make more dynamic our political system and our ideas.
You can't build up a wholesome society on the foundation of apathy, however generated. And therefore it is appropriate that we look for a system that encourages others. I am cautious about the idea of a compulsory voting. Australia, I believe, has it. But I don't know
New Zealand does not, and they actually have a high turnout. So New Zealand, Australia, and in another country who had the old-time British system, like us, the first past the post. They also inherited it as a colonial system country. But they changed it to proportional representation for reasons of engagement, and because they had a range of different types of people that wanted to have voices recognizing. And my point is, in Jamaica, when we have stratification of certain types, whether it is color, it is class, we have to find ways to have every voice count and to re-engage people.
Let me play devil's advocate, though. What about those who reply and say a system of proportional representation, where you have all of this plethora of voices and loosened loyalties? This is going to cause gridlock. You will never be able to get any decision. Look how Andrew and Nigel can pass laws quick, because I'm just 49 seats, man. I'm just carried through. And that we want.
Okay, so finally, you want to respond before I respond?
No, I was going to try like a thing into thing. So anyway, that proportional representation.
Well, let me tell you, maybe this is where, and don't get upset with me, gentlemen, please don't get upset. Maybe this is where gender comes in. There's nothing wrong in having to work out compromises to get people to work together. This tribalistic approach of my way or the highway, or if we're on the opposition side, we must attack everything the other side says. Oppose. It does not work for the country in the long run. And I think we have been independent for enough years to recognize that our results, while we have made advances, we are not where we should be. And it is linked to our governance and politics. We cannot deny that. So,
can I tell you that?
I understand. One second first, sorry, Parnell. Let me fill out this one point. If you have three parties, and in order to get the majority, let's say, for example, you have the JLP, PNP, and a third party. Let's call them JJJ, for example. Jamaica. And it happens that through the voting nationally, the PNP gets 30%. The JLP gets 35%. That's on the majority, correct?
Right.
So therefore, and the other party has the balance of 25%.
Yeah.
The JLP then has to talk with the JJJ and say, okay, how can we work together to form a team so we can govern this country? Can we find areas of commonality that would benefit Jamaica, that we can see eye to eye, so you can work in a coalition government with us to get things done?
Is that what we have in Israel now?
Well, Israel, oh my God, is a particular, but yes, it is.
Hold on. That is what we have in Israel now.
Yeah.
But you also have it in other countries
and you
as well.
see what is happening in Israel.
No, but that is not due
Yeah,
to
but
that.
Israel is not due to that.
I don't think
That's
it's a
due to
system that
particular
caused it.
cultural stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry, go ahead, Ronnie. Go
I
ahead.
think it is due to the extremes that can develop in any situation. But that to me is certainly not immediately worse than a situation where one party can simply dominate everything. And
No, but Ronnie, but the point I'm making, if we have a three, as she pointed out, at that stage, that minority can decide which of the two they want to go.
And so what's wrong? What's wrong with that?
No, I am not saying nothing wrong with that.
Hold on.
I'm not saying anything wrong with that.
But Cornell, if the people of Jamaica have determined that party deserves 25% of the vote, the people of Jamaica
Have a right to
and they have said that we would like that party with those issues to be in Parliament.
It gets in the way.
They have the authority to negotiate because they have gotten some authority, and it is there's nothing wrong in my view. I know that working together isn't always easy, but sometimes we have to learn to do it for the national good.
It's certain. No, not sometimes. All the time. It is certainly.
All the time.
It is certainly
but
better.
the time you're forced to do it.
It is certainly better to have that with all of its shortcomings, and there are.
And there are shortcomings.
Other than having the tendency for autocracy, where presently one side who is in power, even if they have a one-seat majority, as the JLP did in 2016, operate as if them no business with nobody.
And that is a part of
you heard
issue.
one young man.
System.
You had one young man in the Senate the other day saying that the opposition there wanted to govern from the other side. That's exactly what the opposition is there to do.
Yeah, but let me shoot on at you and tell me how you deal with this.
Yeah,
Let us say the JLP get 28 seats, and the PNP get 28 seats, and the third party get the rest.
Yeah.
Whichever side that third party go, the other side going to do what?
Going to do what?
They're not cooperating. You think the PNP will cooperate with JLP cooperate with PNP because that third party come in and join them?
No, but hold on, one second.
Okay.
1 second, hold on. So you will still have opposition. Hold on, you will still, 1 second.
Yes.
You will still have opposition. We're not saying this is going to change everything in our culture of opposition because people compete.
Democracy needs that.
And democracy needs that because you need to have people looking for mistakes, looking for things to correct, to call out. You want that for a healthy democracy. But what you don't want is just the dynamic of the two tribes. You want to be able to actually have negotiations for different perspectives, that you don't run the country. You have to do it through coalitions, through negotiations, and maintain relationships.
But what
And
Pernell
ultimately, sorry, go ahead, Ronnie. I'm
what
sorry.
Pernell is saying is that it involves is pointing to is it involves a deep cultural shift from where we are now.
That is it.
Yes.
For I make the point. I have a little experience. I don't know how good it is, but a little experience, Imani, from my time in education. Yes?
Yes.
I would love to help the present minister. Not because I think she's bad. Yes, I'm making no comment about that. I want
But
to
you have the
admire her.
experience.
But I have an experience, and I think it might help. But it is it is impossible under the present system because anything that one sought to do, tries to do, is immediately but him is a PNP.
Yeah, but let me hit you in one.
But
I would love to find someone at a PNP that I can work with like I can work with you.
Yes, and I'm sure.
No.
I volunteer.
Explain
I
that.
volunteer.
Explain
I volunteer.
Yes.
But Cornell, the point being that,
she
Cornell,
said,
you know
she said she
that what
volunteered.
happens when
She
you get
ready.
into the tribe.
Yeah.
But also, I'll tell you, when I was in the Senate,
Yeah.
and these are learned behaviors. Gentlemen, these are organizations that have culture.
Yes.
Right? They both have a culture.
That's a major
and
word.
it's perpetuated. I am a person who have friends in the JLP side. I became silent. And times when I knew I should speak, I had to say to myself, what is happening to me? No, and something occurs when you modify your behavior to fit the tribe for various reasons of other motivations. You have to find a way, and it will not happen overnight, right? Because the culture takes time to change. But find a way to have more freedom of thought and dissent within both parties, not just one, both parties. And I put to you, honestly, if you have more competition and dynamism in the politics, you're going to find more dynamism in the parties as well, in the established parties. You will see it.
You are right. I said to Ronnie the other day, You have a meeting of labor rights in Halfway Tree. Thousands of them. And they come from Central Kingston and West Kingston. And them cannot walk through jungle to go home.
So what is the good of that?
Hold on. She used a word, I don't know how long it takes to change a culture. Worse, a political culture.
Right.
I know a racial culture is easier to change than a political culture.
Really? My goodness.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's actually very similar.
But the point I want
systems
to,
impact culture.
Yes,
systems. Because it's through the system that works better. No system is perfect, but it can work better given our experiences of what we have now.
Wait, Ronnie, question it. Let me tell you why. In 1958, when I leave Jamaica, not one black girl was on any front desk in banks, insurance, airline in Jamaica. Not one black brilliant boy was in the front of any banks.
All right, but given that, now, look what happened now.
So something has happened.
Yes, but then...
don't take it away from me.
Look at the time
I want to support what she is saying, that there needs to be a cultural change, because the culture seems to be stronger than the politics.
But you can't change the culture if within the existing system. Both you and I are evidence and victims of that. It has taken us to leave the system and to be at a level of remove and experience from it for us to be able to try what we're trying.
You're using the word have. Why, you think it passed?
No, well.
No, but every day, but Cornell, every day, every time you come on this program, you choose a different path. Every time. And you have to choose, because guess what? Something is learned behavior, But then, as old as we get, we have to choose. Well, and we can choose. Now, whereas you two individuals have chosen a particular way, my point is that, because I do believe, as a woman, I know about discrimination of all different types, right? Different types. Even though I'm grateful that my parents worked very hard and came from very, very humble beginnings to where they were, gave me a good foundation to move forward. There's still challenges I have as a woman, especially in politics. But I know that if you change laws, if you change systems shape how we interact as a people and can ultimately change behavior. It happens with affirmative action for black people in America. It doesn't erase racism, but it means more blacks and other people of other races are in position. It mitigates it and helps to ultimately change other generations and see it as normal. Women running on boards in leadership. As they have quotas and so forth. It's not to change the fact that people have discrimination, but to say that despite your discrimination, women can perform as equally as men in roles of leadership until it becomes the norm. So my thing is that if we change our voting system, right, and allow something else to happen so everybody can participate, they won't all come on board immediately. You will still have naysayers, but you'll have a higher turnout, a higher engagement, and then better politics in the parliament.
Purnell, let me make Purnell's point, because he would argue that those who have power, the governing party now, the governing party, whoever that is next time after, would be very reluctant to engage the system that all three of us are espousing or promoting, because it involves a diminution of their power. Now, what is this seductive? Why is power so seductive that we cannot see the overall advantage and indeed the benefit to the common good of doing something like this?
I'll tell you, Ronnie, there's a man named D.K. Duncan, and there's a guy named Scree Bertram, and a guy named Purnell Childs. Three of us are graduates of universities, and the three of us think nationally, right across PNP, JLP board. And when we dare to say these things in certain areas, we were called all kind of... In fact, there's a man I won't call his name now because it would be unfair to him. He reported me and one of my colleagues as communists coming in the Labour Party. Want to mash up the party, we want to bring in the people. But the point is, where we are now, we are down to 30%. 30-something% of the people voted, and some of the people who are not voting are saying, listen, until don't clean it up, I'm not voting. Others say, it don't make sense, I vote, I can't bring no change. And the others are saying, boy, that day, we can't vote that day, give me another day. I mean, it is... People don't recognize
so what's the way forward?
Government that we need to lead the country.
Indeed. So but this is a cell that is proposing something else. Do you think this will ever form part of the Constitutional Reform Committee's remit, Imani?
Well, I have put it to them.
Really? Really?
Yes, I have. Ronnie, I'm somebody, even though you mentioned a life of a political family.
Uh-huh.
Politics is always about public service for my family.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the politics, it was about the objective of national development, right? I think a certain set of Jamaicans are just that way oriented. And even though I'm not in the politics in the same way right now, I'm clear we're in a political space as a country. So when I write these articles, I submit them to the members of the committee, for them to submit to other persons on the committee and discuss. What I do want to do, and which I'm hoping this time will be different, and I'm working on it, is that we can utilize social media and YouTube videos to engage young Jamaicans, below the age of 35, around this opportunity for change. People don't really talk about it,
Yes.
about what's happening with the Constitution. It is amazing.
Yeah.
They don't even know it's happening.
No.
So many I've spoken to. And so I've been working with a team of young people to come up with that kind of campaign. And it's not about PNP, JLP. It's about just getting involved in this process and saying what you want.
Yes, sir.
And so forcing outsiders, quote unquote, and the numbers, people to get engaged, and hopefully it will convince.
Listen, I'm so glad.
Well, that's a new beginning.
On the ballot.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you have made. I'm so glad that you have made the last statement.
Uh-huh.
And I will tell you this: that some of us have tried it before, and maybe it can work this time, because when we were looking at it, there were two great problems in Jamaica. In the 1980, 88% of the people voted.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
In the 1970, 78% of the people voted. Only when there's a crisis
can change
that the middle class, the private sector class, come out to vote.
How much more crisis you want now?
Other than that, they give you money, they give me money and say, no worry about that, anyone win, you can work with them. Me say, may I tell you, take it from me, it is a master cultural shift that is needed to direct the political system so that those who are yet unborn can find something different.
You've said it well. Let me ask Imani this before we part, though. How would a ballot look? Because you are suggesting that the Prime Minister would, or President, one would vote for that person separately.
Right.
And then
and then vote for parliamentarian leadership separately.
So the instead of voting for a candidate, Charles in North Clarendon, Twits in Central Kingston,
exactly,
you would the PNP and the JLP would have the prodigiously difficult task of saying, here is our slate.
Yes,
from one
to 63.
From 1 to 63. And that if the proportion of vote was you wouldn't vote for a candidate in the constituency.
Right,
or would you?
Not for the parliament. You wouldn't, no.
Okay.
So basically, Jamaica is one big constituency in this situation.
Right,
one.
Okay.
Right, and so you vote for, at the top of the ballot would be the presidential nominees.
Yes.
You have, let's say in this case, Andrew Holness, Mark Golding, PNP, JLP, and maybe a third or fourth, who knows?
Yes.
For presidential candidates.
Yes.
And they have the respective party name beside the name of the candidate.
Yes.
Then below that, you have the parliamentary vote.
Right.
And you vote PNP, you vote JLP, JJJ, ABC, whichever parties are have qualified by EOJ's standards to have, and those four parties have been campaigning already on the particular issues.
And then they would be representatives in proportion to the number of votes. But then let me stop you there, because then what that system would do would be to deny a particular constituency or area, call it what you will, its particular responsible representative.
Can you imagine if the Parliament had to respond to the people in totality? Parties can determine, by the way, just so we know, as it's happened in other places, within the party structure, persons in charge of particular assignment to regional areas, with areas to respond to water, road, etc. But the key thing is that the government must also respond to the needs of the people. So when you come to Parliament now, parliamentarians who are PMP parliamentarians, JLP parliamentarians, NDM parliamentarians, for example, can hold to account the delivery of services. There's not to be one voice about for one constituency. It's about the issue across the board and a number of people. You're going to have to establish, Ronnie and Cornell, channels of feedback and input and imagining like a different kind of democracy in Jamaica, you know? But the ways in which the parties will structure themselves to ensure they're covering, let's call it in a commercial terms, their market, their segment.
Okay.
I guess that's
because
all
you
of
do
us.
want to resonate with voters on their issues.
I guess that all of us have a problem. We have a cultural problem. Rani, it's a fact, you know.
I'm accepting that.
We have a problem of political problem. Yeah. Because, say, for example, the JLP get one more seat than the PNP.
Yeah.
But the independent get 2 seats and decide to join the PNP.
That's fine.
Of course, but fine on me and you. But fine about the JLP man who just get 1 seat more than PNP.
But that is
guys, it's not about the PNP, JLP panel.
That is the cultural change that she's talking about.
And that is where
and that don't come overnight.
No, it doesn't. But if you set up a structure, then which is more equitable. If you set up a structure which is likely more to reflect a broad swath of opinion rather than a narrow selected group, then it seems to me you're doing good for the country.
May I take 10 seconds to tell you what my problem is?
What is it?
This thing that you and Imani and all of you are talking about, this constitution that everybody must make an input in. It will take 10 years to make a constitution.
No, it does not. To do it right now. Let me tell you something. I've always had this view in Parnell, but I only chose to write about it in this time because we have the opportunity now. In 10 months' time, we're going to do something of a referendum. What is going to be on that ballot? I want this issue on the ballot.
Me too.
No, we're not easing up. We're not easing up.
No, I'm with you.
It's the next person's lifetime for that change to happen if we don't push now. We have to push. No, they only came to this thing of referendum and reform for a particular purpose. But Parnell, people, as you know, Parnell, as a politician, people can actually put pressure on political parties to put the relevant issues on the ballot. I'm not saying it will happen, Parnell, but my God, let's try.
But this is political education.
I ran your teeth, my word, man. Because the political education of the masses is very, very strong to move from where the Queen left them to come to where you want them.
But then you see, this is why Imani is to be commended for trying to put together the group. Yes, you did. And we, in our way, can try and do something. And I think there are others who are anxious to do that because they are invested, particularly with what is happening abroad. In many cases, it's not pretty there. And therefore, people are saying, but wait, we have this unfulfilled opportunity here, and we must make the best use of it, which is why this closed-door constitutional committee, it can't work.
No.
But Randy, when you say it can't work, you know how many people you say them agree with you.
Yeah.
So that it will never work for 10 years.
Well,
what happens is that most people don't know. So you know what happens? When people don't know, it's easy to pull some over them eyes, right? Yeah. But let's really begin to open the conversation.
Indeed.
Because I believe, honestly, I mean, no matter, even though I think the Prime Minister acts in very autocratic ways sometimes, I know he does respond to people and what happens in the public space. So let us see if we can activate the public space to say what they really want. And not just those who are currently engaged, but everybody. Because this is something, this opportunity can be very meaningful, I feel, to the country if we make it so.
Imani Duncan-Price, keep going. We're anxious to hear your
Imani,
views and your group as it develops. Thank you so much for today. Pernell,
Well,
last word to you.
I want to beg you one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You see this article you wrote?
Yeah.
I want you to tell me, how can we go into the heart of Jamaica and speak to our brothers and sisters who are killing one another? How can we say to them, listen, come with us and sit down and talk? I say that some of the leaders of the new organizations are happy to be called to the microphone, are happy when them see the television camera, but none of them has said to Imani and me, can we go to the X place? Because sit down and talk to the guy.
No, actually, can I tell you? And this is different when Jamaicans, even if it's one article alone, the amount of emails I've gotten, messages on Twitter or X as it's called now, on Instagram, wanting to do and help and join. My thing is, I'm trying to think through, honestly, just how then do we do this so it is completely non-partisan, just civic engagement and going out to have these conversations, both in social media and face-to-face. I don't have the answer yet, Pernell.
Well, that's what we call
people out there, and this conversation with both of you, and you guys working together, I'll be calling you back.
That's fine. We'll be happy to have you. That's an altar call, to put it in evangelistic terms.
Yeah, the pastor is calling you to come forth and altar call.
Yeah, man, conversion. Imani, thanks again. See you soon.
Thanks again. Thank
Blessings.
you. Okay.
Imani Duncan-Price, a political activist and a civil society advocate and concerned citizen. When we come back, we'll talk to you about Mr. Charles's reaction to Mrs. Duncan-Price. And of course, we're going to invite Mr. Hugh Small, who has a great deal of political experience, but is also a member of the Constitution Reform Committee and a human rights advocate, to talk about these things. Stay tuned. Thanks for being with us on The Bridge 99 FM. The program is a public eye. The Honorable Pernell Charles and myself are the hosts. We talk about the things that can bring us together as a people, the things that can serve the common good. We're tired of this tribalism. We're tired of the unfulfilled promise of the Jamaican people, because we really believe that we are exceptional and that God has blessed us and we have the talent to really do it. See, so we want to do that. We're no business with some of the fight going on in North America and in England and other places. And we deplore some of the things in the neighboring countries. We believe that Jamaica is special. So that is what we defend here. Imani Duncan-Price was our guest earlier, Hugh Small coming up. And we chose those because we really want to bring people in the diaspora into the full picture of the turmoil and the discourse that's taking place here.
Well, that they have left here, and many of them are kept in contact with it. And so they're either supportive of what we are saying, or they want to stay with the whole thing.
But their experience ought to help them to move towards what
their experience ought to help them to the new whatever we want, something new.
Call it new beginning. But there's always room for that. But what is going on in the United States politics now is desperately disappointing, Mr. Charles.
If what is going on in the United States was going on in any of the countries around her,
God,
she would break relation with them.
Oh, Lord.
They wouldn't get any food. They'll do exactly what they do in Cuba. And I'm trying to tell you.
Man, disappointing because they're
doing Biden now is to be what?
Impeach.
Yeah.
They might do that just because Trump to get charged.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so they're going to end up now with no president.
And this is a big money business and a big division, and who now we're not going to have any peaceful system again. All people like Putin and Kim Jong-il, them just a laugh after them,
Of course. Of course.
And Putin defend Trump.
But hear what a man said to me. Believe me, I can shame this man not going to big school. I don't even go to elementary school. I said, Mr. Charles, let me tell you something. You see this country here? Unless the leaders, I not talk the politician, the church, the private sector, the politician, the farmers and all of us, the leaders, sit on one place and say, we want to go, so we're not going nowhere.
Well,
No, but you get the vibes of what we say.
No, I do, and the vibes is the same fundamentally what we are talking
We
about.
just lift it at a higher level, but it is the same thing.
You see, what another thing that really causes me distress, and that is our ability to major in the minors. Let me give you an example. You give me a comment. This biz about the dunce bag.
What is it?
What the hell is this? They come out of school and can't pass two subject, and that school bag will write up dunce on it. That takes the fashion. That is supposed to be an exemplary of free speech. We are mad.
Well, let me ask you a question. Well, what are you supporting or opposing?
Opposing.
The dunce bag?
Yes.
But let me ask you a question. Where was it made?
No. Must be China.
So therefore, somebody recognized the
Indeed.
culture of Jamaica
Indeed.
making the money.
That's right. And some DJ get up and make one song,
Well,
but you see, it's deep philosophy, because what I understand is that the song say that you could have sit down in the back of the class and dance, but me have more money than you. Because then you who take exam, you who pass and get educated, yes, because me bust two tune or do something else. The value system of this country need change up, sir.
Do you remember what I told us in a place?
What?
The guy said to me, Mr. Charles, all of this money we're not spending, of thousands of people have come, and the man never pass exam. And my friend that took up one phone call, and he had 20 times more money more allowed.
Yes, sir.
And him telling so that all of the guys who are there working,
yes, sir,
it's as if them leave just drop.
So you can build.
Go call people and thief their money.
Well, you see, let me tell you my story before we bring in Hugh Small. When I was in government, I visited a school in the country parts.
Yes.
And I was speaking to these students who will be leaving in a few months and encouraging them to get training in trades, to think of further education, particularly in the area of agriculture, because it's a deep agricultural area. And while I was speaking, yes, a car driving to the school compound, one class, Chris car,
yes.
Vroom, and a guy get out, him have gold teeth and him have gold bangle and saparita and everything, yes? And I realized that not one of the students was listening to me.
No.
Because this guy had been in the school, him leave a couple of years, and him's a chopper. Yes?
In doing thing.
In doing thing.
And then come back with all of what them want.
Everything. So how do we, one of the discussions we have to have is how we settle ourselves. Yes?
It get back to what you said.
Imani.
It says the culture.
Sure. But
the culture is stronger than education.
But we have to be.
When I say stronger than education, it means stronger than what you get in school.
Right. So
some place
what are we promoting? What are we spending the people's money every year in order to do? Are we being intentional enough about the values that are necessary in order to make, whether it's education or health or public policy work?
Can I get just 10 seconds to say the last thing, Ronnie?
Yeah.
I still feel that schools, as they are today, is not in the right direction. I tell you why.
Of course you're right.
Let me tell you why. You have a school board made up of parents, teachers, and even some of the children. And they can't determine whether you wear a long frock or a short frock. Why somebody must get up and say your frock too long, although your religion, the school, the board, the owners of the school, the boarders, the supporters say we want a culture where you're
precisely. So there has to be a balance between a national policy, which can give broad guidelines, but it cannot interfere with the particular community making those.
Should not.
Should not.
But it is dominant right now, so that the people it makes sense we do it.
No, you must. Well, we have to tell those who make the national policy that they must come off of that.
Well, You tell me this, because my whole experience is a headmaster of a school who is in charge of teachers and children and even community. Follow me? They support him, they work with him, and he knows how to get their support. Right now, I don't know who is in charge of schools. I mean, and this is not embarrassing to some of the good teachers. We have some frontline committee teachers who would never migrate. It doesn't matter what you pay them here. They have some children them not living in Pitney. And then feed them Pitney and bring them. But they were presented to them. And I told you about my teacher who cried when one failed. I said, what are you crying for? She said, but one failed. You understand me? So we have good teachers. We have some people who only teaching because they hold our work for the time being. And them people, as soon as they get the visa, them gone. Them not even giving no announcements, so them leaving.
Okay, but then you see the economic situation has a lot to do with it. I agree with you that all of that is unacceptable, and elements in the church that I'm familiar with, certainly elements in the teaching profession, support the position you've taken. But if a person simply cannot pay their bills at the end of the month, and they're given an offer that it's going to place them in a much better position, it is the professional equivalent of the farm work thing, Pernell.
But Ronnie, I am saying that even in that, you have some people who are getting lower money. And can do better abroad, who will never leave the children of this country.
Yes, sir.
Walk out of a classroom Monday morning and nobody knows to teach them.
So let me ask you, what is it that motivates them? Is it a religious sense? Is it a nationalist spirit? Is it a politically inspired approach? What is it that makes that? Because we have to find out why.
Listen. Give me a chance to say that I am sensible enough that it's not all of them not all of them move because they want to go, Some people do have a problem. Some people say, why should I stay here? My children can't go to school. I am a teacher.
So what you going to do about it?
So how you get into the individual commitment, the individual contribution?
It's
not as easy as
it isn't.
Talking.
No, but what you can do is what is happening now, where it'll go on, and we don't know what to do about it.
We're throwing in the air.
Exactly, and that is what is in position, and we make fools of ourselves. Like, oh, I'm so sorry I said that. We make silly people of ourselves, where we go on as if, because somebody is found to stand up in the class where the experienced teacher has gone, that it's really okay. It's not okay. It's just not okay. They don't know what they're doing. You can't substitute a rookie where an experienced teacher was. Therefore, if you are paying fully or partially for the person's education, higher education, then having a bond which encourages them and constrains them, I use that term, to stay for a period of time is essential. And you don't accept money in lieu of the bond. You say you must give this service. And you have to build from early o'clock the sense that people have that this is going to be a commitment that they have to make. Is that enforced now? No.
But then I've been hearing this when I was just coming out of high school.
Of course, but they don't do it. It is the loosest thing possible. Nobody do that. Them tell you slavery. Yes. No, seriously. It is extremely important that we should bear that in mind. One, two, we simply have to train, encourage and train more people in the particular professions where there is need for them abroad and where they're likely to be induced, recruited. We're not doing that.
Hold on. My mother visited me, she died years ago. And she said to me, how come I hear some school open and never clean up? And when Teacher Williams was here, he sent to us and said, listen, parents, 2 weeks time school are open.
Come.
All carpenters come Monday morning, bring your hammer and bring some nail. All masons come Tuesday morning, bring you this, because I have some cement. Right? And they cook a little pot.
No question. No question. Nobody
What
asked.
happened now?
Nobody asked for any money.
What happened now that we hear the teacher saying, "Look at my school open,
Sure.
and water run,
Sure.
cleaning up." What happened to all of us? What happened? Where are we?
Yeah.
Why the parents? Why the teachers don't invite the parents to come and help prepare the school for children for school to come? You're picking them will come to school next week. What is wrong? Where are we? Where are we gone? Huh?
Well, it seems to me that is a public spirit. But let me ask you now, are we as politicians, are we encouraging that kind of spirit? Have you heard anybody say, watch out now, parents, there's 600,000 parents in this country, yes? The maintenance money at Chetwood Primary School in Montego Bay was on the television the other night. I was dealing with it this morning. The maintenance money is $150,000 for the whole year. This is a school with several hundred children. It's the buildings. Some of the buildings are 70, 80 years old. Watch out now, parents. We are asking you, just as Teacher Williams used to do, to say, come out now. Your picnic is going to benefit if we can come out and plaster up the walls, fix the ceiling, and make sure the
Give
roof,
up a few days.
the roof no leak.
Yes.
Okay. Do you hear this? No. What we're doing is part of the same thing we're discussing with Imani. What we're saying is, government will take care of that. You don't have to contribute. If you do, it's okay, but you don't really have to, because the resources are enough. The people,
And you are not encouraged to.
Exactly.
You are not encouraged to give.
Exactly.
Because if you are encouraged to give, the political system is going to say, we would have made it free, you don't have to give, them is charging you, and you have to work for them. So where the change must start is up at that level.
Yeah, so I'm anxious to hear this kind of advice, this kind of instruction coming from our political leaders, from our religious leaders, etc.
Not while it is competitive.
But the competition is supposed to keep us free. The competition is not to enslave us by non-performance.
I like how you say it.
But it don't make sense.
You say it for me and you.
But
we can say it as elegant.
We had no hey sir. You are pithy, I am vertical. But we had Mr. Wright from the Association of Principals last week, and his contribution in a school like William Knibb, which needs the money, yes, is in fact getting much less, almost half of what it used to get. People who would give freely, they are now giving half of that because they've been told that government money should be all right.
No, you know what is wrong?
Foolishness.
We don't have a minister like Mrs. Williams and have a minister shadow like you run it to it, who both of them would go out and say to the parents, listen, we are not advising you that you are going to go to prison if you don't contribute. But we are encouraging you to look at your school.
So people spend money. People spend money. Some rich people spend $1.5 million to go and see one foul-mouthed man named Chris Brown. Yes? Prance and play. I'm exaggerating. Okay? But they spend money on that. We spend money to go to this party and to drink that boom and that liquor. But when the picnic goes to school,
come on, cost government.
Yes, because
cost government. Say government must clean out the house.
Who has said? Listener, education money must come before any of that.
Well, let me tell you who have said that.
Oh,
I said that.
Thank you, sir.
And I tell you, you see what I produce.
Yes, and yeah. Indeed.
I produce.
Witness.
Right?
Yes. Same.
Because I said to them, listen, Daddy is not going to carry you past 21.
Yeah.
And Daddy is not going to make you carry his name.
Yes.
Down where you're there.
Yeah.
So therefore, I want your name up your sock.
Yes, sir. And
they are there.
Yes.
Okay.
Kudos to you and your wife. Caller, good afternoon.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tate.
Welcome to the Public Eye on the Bridge 99.
Good afternoon, Mr. Senior Charles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
What would you like to tell us now? What have we been saying wrong?
All right.
What are we saying good that you'd like to support?
Oh, I hear you made a comment. Mr. Senior Charles, referring to you. Straight man, leave the float there. Mr. Senior Charles, I hear you made a comment about. I hear you made a comment about in terms of when the Miss Brownberg speak about the language using the parliament as in shut your mouth. I hear them make a comment about that, and I am referring you back to 2016 in the sectoral debate when someone said to Danny Williams, Danny Buchanan, when he was chairperson of the House, and the person said, shut your mouth, Danny. You didn't do anything about that, Senior Charles.
Yes, a lot of things I never do anything about, so that I've gone above that now.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of darkness have passed and the light has come.
Yeah.
And I would like to transmit it to you and others because we cannot continue to live in the dark. And I am brave enough to say, you know, I am walking out of the dark. I want light for the generation yet unborn.
And caller?
Yes, please.
That is what I agree with too, you see, and I rate this man. I don't have to, but I rate him because he's willing to do that. I want to do the same. There's a whole heap of things that each of us can look in our past as when we were making genuine efforts, but in a way that did not help towards the real progress and the common good of the people. And we're done with that now, and we're looking to something else, and we want you to join us, you see?
Yeah, man, and I like that about Senior Charles in responding to whatever would never take place. He wouldn't like that to be another situation arises in that moment.
Yeah.
But coming to you now, Mr. Tweet, I always looked at you and I admire you, and in terms of your seat, which was the Michael Manley seat, and old traditional PNP seat, and the recent person were run within the 2020 election, that seat has been lost to the JP column. How would you look at that seat in terms of the person who takes up and handles the mantle after you drop it off?
That person was not able to convince the electorate to come out and vote, and the results of that, we were just talking about it, was that it wasn't that people switched, but so many who were traditional supporters of the People's National Party in Central Kingston did not come out and vote. And that speaks to a particular campaign, a particular mood in the country, but also, caller, it speaks to the issue that we've been on to here. That in fact, the system it really does not make for the best outcomes for people, and therefore you have these hotly contested races, and people don't really feel they have any skin in the game anymore.
Okay, don't refer to me as caller anymore. My name is E Central.
Okay, E Central. Good.
Yeah, so
yeah. I'd be happy to call you that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's where you come from.
Yeah, E Central.
Good.
St. James.
Okay, good. So,
I am here now looking at another area of concern. And the area of concern is in relation to the Asian who was landing, and their attorney was then speaking about there won't be getting forward in terms of information withheld, in terms of proceed, and in terms of, I think they were looking at asylum.
Well, let me just tell you, East Central, that we had made an arrangement with Mr. Hugh Small, who is an attorney interested in this issue. He apparently he's involved in a meeting of the Constitutional Reform Committee and may not be available to us. But I am distressed. Let me state my position. I am distressed that people, refugees, could come to Jamaica and without any due process whatever, without any inquiry, any due process, they are simply in less than 24 hours put on a boat and sent back to the harm that they tried to escape from. That is not our way.
What do you mean by due process?
Due process means that a person who comes here is entitled to be, their circumstances to be properly considered if they wish to apply for asylum.
Hold on. I was advised because I asked a question.
Yeah, man.
And they were all interviewed according to the Constitution of Jamaica.
They had any lawyer?
Ronnie, this is where you see all
No,
this.
Daddy.
No. You see all them people get up on night time.
Let me tell you, if anybody...
None of them.
Yeah, no.
None of them.
No, look here.
Hugh Smalls and his team took on the first. All of these nice,
sir.
pretty people.
Sir, you cannot bring East Central. Listen to us. There is
here,
no way that you can tell a person who is under risk of whatever sort that because somebody, a voluntary lawyer, advocate, didn't turn up, that you can proceed with the process. You cannot do that.
So
you must not do that.
Are you suggesting that the government should send government lawyers?
If the government want to call me, they can call me and I will go.
No, but that is a different matter.
No, it's a matter of justice. It is a matter. Hello, can you imagine that you have a minister of constitutional affairs, you have a minister of justice who I regard highly, yes? Who you have an attorney general, and these people think that you allow for a situation where you can remove a person, a refugee, on your shores, and without them having the benefit of legal advice.
Hold on.
God.
Hold on.
And that we stand for.
So there were 37 this time.
Yes.
When 5,000 come, you want the same thing.
I do.
You want the same thing?
No, I do. I believe in human rights, not selectively.
Listen to one thing.
Hello?
Listen to one thing.
Hello?
Coming in Central, hold on.
The people who came here said they weren't coming to Jamaica.
No, but of course.
They were going to America.
So you mean because they make a mistake, we can send them back?
The American embassy was consulted, and they said, no, they can't go there.
But what you expect? You expect them to say, yes, they must come? These people are running away from... Hello, sir.
What would be wrong with that?
What was their purpose?
What would be wrong with them going to America?
No, that is America's business. But if they come into to Jamaica, what kind of facile nonsense? Somebody call up the American embassy and say, some people landing here wrongly, you want them? Them say they won't come to you?
Ronnie, you know that my position...
Cruel and unkind.
You know my position is...
Oh God!
That had I...
How much Jamaican go to the US and Britain?
Had I known that there's a way that I could go and say to these people...
I'm amazed that somebody could tell you what they tell you was the reason why them send them back. It's wrong.
No.
It's cruel.
No.
Hello?
Let me make my point clear. I am not suggesting that anybody told me that. I'm asking you as an attorney.
Okay.
What is the constitutional position?
My understanding is...
Let me finish.
Yes.
What is the constitutional position when 10,000 people...
10,000 people didn't come.
No. All right. Go
ahead, East Central.
Let's say...
Mr. Charles.
Yes, sir.
Turning to the Constitution and Legislation Affairs Division, which implements the government to ensure that laws are enacted and consistent with the Constitution of Jamaica.
Yes.
Do you think that it's a due process to people come to our shore and you send them home back without enacting those laws?
No, sir.
So why would you say that it is ample your views that you could have just taken them and send them back without due process?
No, sir. I didn't say that. I don't know what process they use to send them back. What I am complaining about is that the people who run for television coverage, run for radio coverage in Jamaica, to criticize, none of them visited these people. Their attorneys, their business, none of them visit and said, how can we help?
Even if
and the minute they move off, it is the government, of course.
But of course, it's the government send them back. So there's no question that the government must take responsibility for that. The people, as I understood it, arrived in Jamaica, landed in Portland the afternoon, and by 3 o'clock next morning, they were put on the boat, go back. Who could come down there by then?
Randy, that is not true.
How much time they had?
But but you should have known that if the government's report is that they have been processed by immigration, by police.
No. Due process means you have to have the central principle of the Constitution is that when there is that you're entitled to representation.
But let me make a point clear. I don't want anybody to interpret what I am saying.
No, I understand your position.
I am support of putting these people back to Haiti.
Oh my God, man!
You know that.
You will send the children back? To see the picture that you yourself put on the television of what is going on there, and you tell me that the Jamaican spirit, that Jamaican capacity, that we can't, man, and we're the same people who begging for our people. Yes, forget a blight when them reach Bahamas and try to go Florida or New York.
And we are the same people.
Oh God!
We are the same people who want to say you take care of Haitian people, you not take care of you.
Hello. Listen to me. There's a humanity. First of all, we should be taking care of us. Secondly, we are trying, whether we are succeeding or not. We're trying hard. I give everybody that. And thirdly, we not stay so. You know that, Ronnie, I would be very happy to make a contribution to these people. East Central, tell us
who have suffered so much to reach here.
Hey, my God, man.
Yeah. Mr. Gentleman, all right, now, I am going to ask you some simple question. Based on the justice system, what we have put in place now, are you think there is a balanced approach to justice?
No.
Mr. Charles, your views?
Sir, yes, there's a balanced approach to justice, and not everybody accept justice to be justified, and there are a lot of people who should accept justice who are not going to accept our type of justice and the justice that the present system provides. So the answer is, boss, I'd like Ronnie to back me up on that.
I would like to qualify what I know that I said East Central, because our justice system has serious flaws, but it is better than many other instances. But that does not mean that we can leave it up so. It is another instance of unfulfilled opportunity. We have the opportunity within our resources, within all of our capacities, to do much better. To do much better than we're doing. And where you have a flagrant injustice, inhumanity must always be unjust. It is never just to be cruel and unkind to someone, especially in their time of weakness. When we have an instance like what we had in Portland, and they do it that way, and the government is brazen enough to try to justify it. Brazen enough to come with all kind of Jim Screechy argument.
So, Mr. Charles, are you now saying that we only get quality representation only if we have money?
Get what?
Quality representation only if we have money.
Right, you understand about that?
Yes, you understand it. What he's asking is if the justice system works for those who can pay for it, who can get quality representation.
The reason I pass it to you there, I want you to tell him yes. Because if you don't pay for it, how you get it in Jamaica?
Well, no, but that's not justice.
And we have been saying that this is not working.
No, this gentleman comes from East Central St. James.
East Central St. James.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mr. Tweed. Mm-hmm. So are you now saying that the legal aid lawyer or the government appointed is not a quality representation?
No.
You are Mr. Charles.
No, I'm not saying that. In fact, my history is I started the legal aid movement in Jamaica in 1970. And I'm proud that it was brought to Montego Bay, yes, and adopted by people like Mr. Clayton Morgan, the late Mr. Frank Pringle, Mr. George Holloway, and others. I'm proud of that. They took it, and it is possible. And then governments, it was a very enlightened JLP Minister of National Security and Justice at the time, Mr. Winston Spalding, who helped to put the legal aid law, and the Honorable Carl Rattray, blessed man, so that we do have legal aid lawyers who are good.
Right, what happened to those laws? Why not? One of them came forward to making a representation on behalf of
make them come out of them bed now. Allow the people even to stay so that court could call at 10 o'clock, and you bring them before there, and the judge, who never did it the last time, But who could have said, oh no, are you represented? Come sit down until we get one of the lawyers to do so.
So
that did not way.
Yeah, so back to the story what I did just ask. Are we getting quality representation by the legal aid lawyer if we don't have money? At first I did ask you if we get quality representation only if we have money.
Mm-hmm.
And you were shifting from an angle like that we does not get quality representation only if we have money. So I am just now saying that if the legal aid lawyer or the government appoint isn't a quality representation without you not paying.
It is better. The legal aid system is an essential element of justice. I believe, however, that the legal aid system can have a lot of improvement, and one of the things is that the lawyers have needs and expectations of higher reward, and the amount that is paid towards legal aid lawyers now should be looked at again. And I want to state, in fairness, that it is this government, in the JLP government in 2016 or 2017, that raised the fees to the legal aid lawyers, and they deserve credit to do so, even though it is still not adequate.
So East Central, none of the legal aid lawyers took the Haitian before any of the judges that would give them time to say whether they want to.
Never came before any judge. What happened the previous time is that the people who came, the 37 who are still here, were charged with illegal entry and brought before the court. Yes, at least that happened. This didn't happen this way, and I know why it didn't happen. Because they don't want the public opinion of people like us, East Central and others, to raise any issue. So what they do is ship them off right away.
What issue they could probably raise?
We're raising it right now, that it's unfair, it is unjust to deal with human beings that way. People are running away.
So that people prevent them from being represented?
Absolutely. That is true. They never brought them before the court.
No, but what you're saying there kind of mixed me up.
No.
Let's go. Let's go it again. You are saying the people landed.
Yeah.
They never get a chance for the legal aid.
They never get a chance. The legal aid is assigned by the court.
Oh, okay. So how would they have gone to the court?
They've been charged with illegal entry, just as the other previous ones.
So charged by the police?
Yes.
And what? When they're charged by police, don't they have to go before the court?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because
hold on.
Uh-huh.
So when they go before the court after they're charged by police, no legal aid assisted them?
The court, the first set of people were not represented, but they should have been. Yes. And I think because of that first experience and the outcry that people like ourselves made, if these people, the last set, had been brought before the court, the judge would have said, assign them somebody to represent them.
Yes.
But they were shipped away before that could even happen. And you talk about due process, and you talk about, listen to me, East Central, you have to excuse my passion on this.
No,
these people don't believe in judgment. When they stand before the throne of God, and these people who make that decision, yes, this cabinet minister who stands up and tries to justify it, yes, when he stands before the throne of God, as all of us have to do, what I'm going to say? When he stands by the Lazarus who was put back on the boat and sent to certain persecution and death in Haiti, what am I going to say?
You have to go further than why the people came here. You have to deal with those who make the people have a run.
So is
that a laughing matter?
Charles is a good lawyer here.
No, Mr. Charles. You have to understand, it didn't start in Portland.
With Corsi?
It didn't start in Portland.
No, but we had a chance to intervene there, and we willfully refused to do so. We sat at the table of diabetes, and we refused to share.
No, don't say we refused. Say we didn't get a chance, because you and I, if you as an attorney had said to me, Pernell, drive me down to Portland.
Of course you would have, because you're a decent
start
man.
in a minute.
Hello?
Yes.
There are many decent people.
Central, not in decent authority.
East Central, you see so much.
No, man, no. So are you now saying that the justice system is heading in the right direction by doing all those things?
if it does all those things, but if it does what we are saying it should do, then it would be heading in the right direction. It can be improved thereby.
And I will say, sir, improvement does not mean that it is not going in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you are now saying that it isn't heading in the right direction. Is that what you are saying?
Who, me?
No, I am saying that it may be going in the right direction.
But it no reach.
But we feel that you must speed up to reach up to those people.
I want to shift gear and go over to the CRC committee now.
Constitutional Reform Committee.
Yeah, CRC.
Mm-hmm.
As we are now in terms of keeping meeting at town hall, parish, when you go to the parish, you go to the Montego Bay Civic Center, or even when they come to Falmouth, because I have a team assembled to come to Falmouth to ask questions. Questions arises from so many different areas. And what are your, remember you were there 2001, 2002, before the CRC committee assembled and started. Based on the assembly and started back then, what are the drives you're getting from this new constitution and legislation minister who has now taken over the mantle?
Mr. Charles, you want to start or you want me to start?
You're the lawyer, man.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be frank
and upfront.
It's a flop. It's a flop. It was designed without the understanding that people do not appreciate what is contained in a constitution, how important it is, why it is so vital to life in Jamaica, and it has proposed changes and particular types of changes that are neither here nor there as far as ordinary people are concerned. And it does not deal with some of the things that you and your group from Falmouth would probably raise, because you are thoughtful people, I'm taking it. And as a result, it's going nowhere.
Central.
Yes, please.
I won't go along with my colleague on this one to say it's a flop. I will say that it needs to be improved. It needs a different color. It needs a developed culture. As far as I'm concerned, as it is, it cannot be a flop because it is surviving. It is under which we are surviving. However, we are not satisfied with the amount of food that is being put on the table, although little food put there. So it may not be dying, but it don't substitute belly no full.
Well, let me ask E-Central, what were some of the concerns that you and your group would raise if you had a town hall meeting in Falmouth?
No, it was in Montego Bay.
I know
the town hall meeting.
Yeah.
It doesn't come to Falmouth yet. In Montego Bay, I raised the town hall meeting.
Well, the two questions. Why hasn't it come to Falmouth yet, if you're really interested in island-wide consensus? And two, the one in Montego Bay, did it fill your belly?
Well, as far as how I look at it, I see the Parliament stream live, the bail bill stream live, which is 24 clause and 4 schedules. I see the Senate stream live. So I am all that interested to see the reform stream live so that I can get the deliberation in terms of who says what is saying what.
Oh my.
But at least it must come to the constituency level, because I've been doing some music session in terms of the reform committee in my community where I live, so that people can have a better understanding about the reform committee, because I have a portable box where I come at the crossroad on a Sunday or during the weekdays when I'm getting home from work. I can just bring up one of the live stream where deliberate already and make people hear what the difference in terms of the way forward.
Yeah. That would be very, very good, and you spark a discussion, and maybe somebody buy a beer or a rum. But
I just stop and listen.
Listen what you have to say,
and then they might ask one or two questions.
Sure,
I can answer one or two, but I am not the chairperson or person who puts on the committee, because I always have to relate questions to them in terms of questions like. The Maroon has been here long before Jamaica gained independence. Many Jamaicans are saying that there is no sovereignty now, and however, people are now saying that there's no sovereignty and there's no such thing as Maroon. How does this get to affect the work of the CRC?
Yes, with a reasonable question. It's a big discussion, and there are, of course, many hundreds of questions of similar significance. Now, that is a process of education over a period of time, which is what Mr. Charles and myself are saying. A carefully calibrated thing, including box like yours, but you can't. You don't have nothing to put in your box right now because there's no live stream of the CRC. Why? What am I said that we can't hear, please, sir? What am I said that Trelawney mustn't know?
Not Trelawney in general, no.
No, I'm giving you just using your
indication.
Yeah.
Okay.
What am I doing? Yes.
I want to add one thing.
Yeah.
That what was satisfying in 1960 is not necessarily going to satisfy in 220 because new generation, new education,
new technology,
new development. Do you, Mr. Twain, my colleague, have you sat to ask yourself, what is technology going to be 20 years from today?
That has to go into the Constitution in terms of our rights.
That's why I said from the beginning, you are the one who started this Constitution discussion here. And I said to you, Ronnie, if it going to go the way you want to see it, or you're fighting, it's going to take 10 years. And you say, so what?
Yes, I say so.
No. Lastly, in 1960 or 61, weren't we satisfied with the Constitution to go on?
No. What we did, we had trust at the time in a way that we don't have trust now in Norman Manley and Alexander Bustamante. And
so we accept what they said.
And indeed, and if read Professor Trevor Monroe's book on the history of how the Constitution was formed, and you realize that even at that time, there was very little attention or paid to or effort to get the public's viewpoint. Now,
those who had their viewpoints accepted it.
Indeed, but now, and what we wanted to do was to have independence, quick time, Federation bus up, etc. Nowadays, the sterling point that you have just made, sir, is that 2023 and onwards is nothing like 1960-61.
No, and guess what? 2040 is not going to be like it is today with technology.
Yeah.
And
hello?
Yes, East Central.
You just touched on a federation matters. I'd like to go there now.
All right, quick.
Because 1989, we have a single market in terms of free goods and trade.
Yeah.
And where that has landed today, because we have a CARICOM movement sometime around 2015, all heads of state, I think, was in Montego Bay.
Yeah.
And looking at the trade relation now, in terms of most of our goods are coming from the U.S. So would you think CARICOM necessary?
I think it's necessary, but it is part of the unfulfilled opportunity of our region, and Jamaica can do a lot to change that. There are many things that we can benefit from a single market within the Caribbean. There are many things, not only that we can sell to them, services and goods, but when we think of the opportunities of food sufficiency, given the capacity, say, of just picking two, Guyana and Belize. Yes, we are looking far too northwards. When we think of energy, if we were in a real common market situation, now that Guyana has resources are open up, don't you see how that could benefit us?
But you just use the word opening up.
Yeah.
The start is from now.
No, the start could have been from before if we weren't so.
You mean from 1962?
So Cobbage, no, from the
1989.
1989, the common market.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Because look, the Trinidad oil.
So you think that this common market could sell itself and feed itself without the external world?
No, not without it. But the person of the Caribbean could have christened him Picnic for us.
I am now saying that we should have more implementation in the single market movements and economy, because I find it difficult to get goods and trades out of the country, and even so find it difficult to move around within the CARICOM region with a passport. And we are now saying that we are Commonwealth and we sign on to stuff in Montego Bay. I think it was about 2015, 15 member states, and then in terms of the 15 member states, things hasn't looked bright in terms of the trade relation and in terms of the free movement within the CARICOM region.
You're correct. And so,
sir,
these are things that we can deal with.
Before you leave, I want to go back to a point, because I am worried about a certain culture in Jamaica, that the culture of criticism is much easier than the culture of assistance.
When you speak about criticism and assistance, which area are you coming from?
Okay, I'm coming, for example, that these people who came from Haiti, we didn't have a group of Jamaicans who would have rushed to them to help. No government could pick them up and send them back. No court would have done that. We are complaining now after them gone.
Of course. And
to me,
we never even
that is a madness.
We never even quint. But we never even quint before they were sent back. Not 24 hours pass. Now you can say the reaction time which would have been enough for people to get in their car. You say you would have come with me, and we go to where they were.
You don't go no further. Don't go no further.
No, I go further, because the government of
Jamaica
is a wicked government.
There were many renegades over there who never do anything.
Yeah.
You coming from
last word for you, East Central. Thank you for this.
One last word. Would you say the government of Mr. Holness is going through a rough, tough political period? Despite of some good policy decision and some good policy success, people have been discontent with the government. People are having too many pain points to encounter with. Would you say that, Mr. Tweet and Mr. Charles?
I'm going to pass on that question and let Mr. Charles have the final word with East Central on this edition of the Public Eye.
East Central, I am going to close it by inviting you to come back. I think your contribution has been very good to
and
us.
Socratic, he asks questions. Thanks for your call, my friend. We'll talk another time. You hear?
Yes, please.
Good then.
Take care of yourself.
And Mr. Charles, thank you very much for your spirited company, sir.
Yes, I will say this to you, Ronnie, that this younger generation, I don't know whether or not what direction are they looking at. If they're looking at the world as it is heading, not only man-made, but
technology inspired too.
Not only technology. Earthquake has destroyed thousands of people.
And I'm
hurricane destroyed thousands of people.
I catch your drift, and I would just need to say that we need to look at their spiritual direction too. Maybe we can pick up that on next time when we join.
That's a consultation, Mama.
Indeed, why not? I revere her along with you. Thanks very much for your company to all our listeners today. Thanks to Jeff and all those at the bridge who make this program possible. The Public Eye will return next Wednesday. Till then, take care.